what this title means for Sophie, beautiful Sophie, is that she no longer has to curtsy to Meghan Markle, okay? In the line of succession, she no longer has to curtsy to Meghan Markle, okay? That is a booyah moment.
Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, has never been the type to jump into messy public drama or throw out wild comments for attention, but over the years, her actions, quiet reactions, and carefully chosen words have painted a very clear picture when it comes to Meghan Markle. From the fallout after the explosive Oprah interview to the reports about private conversations behind palace walls, people have been paying close attention to every move Sophie made. And the more people looked, the more they started connecting the dots. What really happened between Sophie and Meghan behind the scenes? That question has followed the royal family for years, especially as tensions inside the palace kept growing louder and harder to ignore.
Fab 4 reunion is being described today as a PR disaster after Meghan and Harry were given the cold shoulder at Westminster Abbey.
When Meghan officially joined the royal family through her marriage to Prince Harry, Queen Elizabeth already understood how overwhelming royal life could become for someone coming from the outside world. Palace traditions, constant media pressure, strict rules, public appearances, private expectations — it was a completely different lifestyle. The Queen reportedly believed Meghan would struggle trying to navigate all of it alone, especially with the entire world watching her every move. That's why she stepped in and suggested Sophie as someone who could help guide Meghan through the transition. And honestly, the choice made perfect sense. Sophie wasn't picked just because she was respected inside the palace. She was chosen because her story had major similarities to Meghan's situation. Sophie also entered the royal family as an outsider with a normal working background, and she had to learn everything from the ground up. She didn't grow up around royal customs, royal protocol, or intense royal media attention. In her early years, Sophie faced public criticism too, especially after the famous 2001 tabloid sting that caused major headlines and embarrassment for the palace. But unlike many people expected, she managed to recover quietly, rebuild trust, and slowly earn a strong reputation inside the royal family over time. Despite the rocky moments early on, Sophie slowly transformed herself into one of the most respected and trusted members of the royal family. Over the years, she built a reputation for being calm, loyal, hardworking, and drama-free, which made senior royals value her even more. People inside palace circles reportedly saw her as someone dependable, someone who understood the system without constantly fighting against it. What made Sophie's journey stand out even more was how quickly she adapted to royal life after marrying into the family.
The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. As we've heard this afternoon, this is the last time they will appear in public before stepping back as senior members of the...
Before long, she carried herself with the confidence and discipline of someone who had been raised inside royal walls from day one. That smooth transition was exactly why Queen Elizabeth believed Sophie could help Meghan avoid many of the same struggles and public mistakes. So when the Queen personally approved Sophie to guide Meghan through royal life, it wasn't some random decision thrown together at the last minute. This was a serious recommendation that carried major importance inside the palace. Sophie reportedly took the responsibility very seriously and was genuinely excited to help Meghan settle into her new role successfully. At the time, there was still hope that Meghan would become a strong working royal and eventually find her place within the institution. According to reports, Sophie made a real effort from the beginning. She allegedly visited Meghan personally and spent hours sitting down with her in private conversations, trying to explain how life inside the monarchy truly worked behind closed doors. Sophie answered question after question, shared personal experiences from her own difficult adjustment period, and gave Meghan insider advice that only someone inside the royal family could fully understand. From royal duties and public expectations to handling media pressure and palace traditions, Sophie reportedly tried to prepare Meghan for everything that was coming. She even went a step further and offered Meghan her personal phone number, telling her she could call anytime she needed support, guidance, or simply someone to talk to who understood the pressure that comes with royal life. Sophie reportedly left that meeting believing she had opened the door to a strong friendship and mentorship. But according to multiple reports that later surfaced, that call never came. After Sophie walked away from that meeting, there were reportedly no follow-up messages, no private check-ins, no continued conversations, and no effort to continue building that relationship, which left many royal watchers quietly surprised. After that first meeting, Meghan reportedly never arranged another sit-down with Sophie, and there didn't seem to be much effort made to continue building a connection with the Duchess of Edinburgh.
Meghan Markle is in no way looking for your love or approval. According to The Telegraph's Bryony Gordon, the royal says she is not seeking people's affection and, quote, doesn't want people to love her. She just wants them to be able to hear her.
She's even looking to distance herself from royal protocol and formalities when on official royal outings.
What Sophie believed could become a supportive friendship inside the royal family slowly faded into silence. For many royal watchers, that part stood out because Sophie had already been through the exact kind of transition Meghan was facing. She understood the pressure, the confusion, the nonstop public attention, and the strict expectations that came with royal life. A lot of people believed Sophie could have become one of Meghan's strongest allies inside the palace if the relationship had continued. But according to reports, communication between the two women never really developed beyond that early conversation. Still, Sophie reportedly didn't shut the door immediately. Sources claimed she continued trying to offer support and guidance more than once, hoping Meghan might eventually reach back out once the reality of royal life became more intense. Sophie was known for being patient and diplomatic, so people close to the palace reportedly saw her efforts as genuine attempts to help rather than royal pressure or control. At the same time, Meghan publicly spoke about feeling isolated and unsupported during her time in the monarchy. But when questions came up about whether she leaned on members of the royal family for help, one response especially caught attention. Meghan reportedly said, "I have Harry. That's all I need." That comment quickly sparked reactions because many people felt Prince Harry, despite growing up royal, wasn't necessarily the person who could explain every detail of royal protocol, palace customs, or the expectations placed on women marrying into the institution. Critics especially pointed to the later Netflix scenes and interviews where curtsying and royal traditions became topics of humor and controversy, creating even more tension with royal supporters. As the distance between Harry, Meghan, and the rest of the royal family grew larger, Sophie's attitude reportedly changed too. At first, she appeared willing to help smooth things over quietly behind the scenes, but eventually, many insiders believed she emotionally stepped back from the situation altogether. Then came one report that caused major headlines. After Harry and Meghan officially stepped away from royal duties and moved abroad, a source quoted in the Sunday Times claimed Sophie felt relieved after their departure. The report even alleged that Sophie was happy she no longer had to curtsy to Meghan in formal royal settings. That comment immediately fueled more speculation about private frustrations inside the palace. Whether the remark was exaggerated by the media or reflected real feelings behind closed doors, one thing became obvious: whatever bond the Queen once hoped Sophie and Meghan would build never fully happened. And over time, the distance between them only seemed to grow wider and more uncomfortable.
Apparently, Sophie is married to Prince Edward. Well, she was upgraded from the Countess of Wessex to the Duchess of Edinburgh. Okay, she got a little bit of a promotion. This is a big deal. But let me tell you why it's important. So both Queen Elizabeth and Queen Camilla previously held this title. But what this title means for Sophie, beautiful Sophie, is that she no longer has to curtsy to Meghan Markle.
Now really think about that for a second. This wasn't just any royal family member feeling frustrated or stepping back quietly. This was Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, someone widely known inside palace circles for being calm, composed, diplomatic, and almost impossible to rattle in public. For years, Sophie built a reputation as one of the least dramatic people in the monarchy. She rarely showed emotion publicly, stayed away from palace feuds, and usually handled difficult situations with patience and professionalism. That's exactly why reports about her becoming distant from Meghan caught so much attention over time. People started looking back at all those unanswered messages, the ignored support, and the offers of help that reportedly went nowhere. None of that simply vanished overnight. According to royal insiders and media reports, the situation slowly created quiet tension behind the scenes that kept building little by little. What may have started as disappointment eventually seemed to turn into emotional distance, especially as Harry and Meghan's relationship with the royal family became more strained in public. By the time Commonwealth Day 2020 arrived, Meghan's final major royal engagement before stepping away from royal duties, many royal watchers believed the atmosphere inside Westminster Abbey felt noticeably uncomfortable. Cameras were everywhere, every facial expression was being analyzed online, and people immediately began paying attention to the interactions between Meghan and other members of the royal family. But one relationship especially stood out that day: Sophie and Meghan. Sophie, who had spent years appearing warm, welcoming, and endlessly patient in public settings, suddenly seemed far more restrained and emotionally closed off during the event. Body language experts, royal commentators, and viewers online quickly started dissecting every small moment between the two women. People pointed to Sophie's posture, her facial expressions, and the noticeable lack of interaction as signs that something behind the scenes had clearly changed. At several moments during the service, Sophie appeared serious, stiff, and emotionally distant, avoiding prolonged eye contact and focusing her attention elsewhere rather than engaging with Meghan directly. Observers especially noticed how controlled and formal Sophie looked throughout the event, which only fueled more speculation that the relationship between them had cooled dramatically by that point. Of course, nobody except the people inside those palace walls truly knows every detail of what happened privately. But for many watching that day, the body language alone seemed to say more than any public statement ever could, and it became one more moment added to the growing list of royal tensions surrounding Harry and Meghan's exit from the monarchy. There was very little visible warmth between Sophie and Meghan during that Commonwealth Day appearance, and royal watchers picked up on it almost instantly. The usual smiles, relaxed conversation, and easy interaction people expected to see between senior royals just didn't seem to be there. Instead, everything felt controlled, formal, and noticeably tense. Even small moments between the two women started getting analyzed frame by frame online because viewers believed the discomfort was impossible to ignore. Then came the moment that many people still talk about today, the eye contact exchange that instantly exploded across social media and royal discussion forums. During the service, Sophie eventually turned toward Meghan and briefly locked eyes with her. But what caught people's attention was how long Sophie appeared to hold the gaze without immediately looking away. Meghan then seemed to glance downward and break eye contact first, while her facial expression noticeably changed. Online commentators quickly jumped into debate mode, with many claiming the moment revealed deeper tension behind palace walls. Some viewers believed Meghan's smile faded almost instantly afterward, while others argued people were reading far too much into a short interaction caught on camera. Still, the clip became one of the most replayed moments from the event because the atmosphere between them looked undeniably awkward to many watching. Body language experts across British media even weighed in, describing the interaction as emotionally distant and lacking the natural connection usually seen between family members appearing together publicly. And the tension didn't stop there. As the royal family exited Westminster Abbey after the service, another moment sparked even more conversation online. Meghan was seen moving across the seating area in an effort to reconnect with Prince William and Princess Catherine instead of walking out alongside Sophie and Prince Edward. That small movement immediately triggered debates among royal followers because royal appearances are usually carefully organized with strict attention to protocol and positioning. Reports later noted that Harry and Meghan were already scheduled to leave after William and Catherine, meaning the seating movement wasn't connected to official lineup arrangements. To critics, the moment looked like another sign of distance between the Sussexes and other royals. Supporters, however, argued it was simply a normal interaction being overanalyzed by the media. But, regardless of interpretation, one thing became clear. By that stage, speculation about strained relationships inside the royal family had reached another level entirely. Then things escalated even further after Harry and Meghan's explosive Oprah Winfrey interview aired worldwide. The interview sent shockwaves through the monarchy and forced nearly every senior royal into an uncomfortable spotlight. Eventually, reporters approached Sophie and Prince Edward for reactions, knowing the entire world wanted to hear what members of the royal family really thought about the shocking claims and emotional accusations made during the broadcast. Instead of giving reporters a dramatic emotional response after the Oprah interview aired, Sophie and Prince Edward handled the situation in a way that many people described as pure royal-style shade. When journalists tried asking them about the now infamous interview, the couple reportedly responded with the now viral line, "Oprah, who?" That short answer instantly exploded across headlines and social media because people saw it as a subtle but cutting dismissal of the entire media storm surrounding Harry and Meghan. The reaction caught attention because Sophie and Edward usually avoided public controversy completely. They weren't known for making sarcastic comments or throwing public jabs, which made the moment stand out even more. Royal commentators immediately began debating whether the remark was meant as humor, quiet irritation, or a carefully polished royal response designed to avoid direct conflict while still making a point. Then, Sophie added even more fuel to the conversation during a Telegraph interview. She reportedly followed up with another line that many viewers interpreted as pointed sarcasm, saying, "If you're not into chat shows, there's no reason why you should know who she is." That comment quickly went viral too, because people connected it back to Meghan's past statements about not knowing much about Prince Harry or the royal family before they started dating. A lot of royal watchers instantly saw Sophie and Edward's comments as indirect payback. Years earlier, Meghan had famously claimed she never Googled Harry and didn't fully understand royal life before entering the relationship. Critics had questioned those comments for years, and now some believed Sophie's remarks were a subtle way of flipping that narrative back around. Whether intentional or not, the timing and wording had people talking non-stop online. What made the situation even more surprising was how unusually sharp Sophie's public comments appeared compared to her normally reserved image. In just a few carefully chosen sentences, she managed to distance herself from the Oprah drama without directly attacking anyone involved. That quiet, understated approach actually made the remarks hit even harder for many royal followers. Then Sophie made another statement during a later interview that sparked even more discussion about Meghan's short time inside the monarchy. Reflecting on her own experience joining the royal family years earlier, Sophie explained that adjusting to royal life had not been quick or easy at all. In fact, she revealed that it took her around 5 years to truly settle into the role and understand the responsibilities that came with it, a comment many people immediately compared to Meghan's much faster departure from royal duties. When Sophie spoke about her own experience adapting to royal life, one comment especially caught people's attention. She explained that when she first married into the royal family, she honestly had no idea how things would turn out in the long run. According to Sophie, the adjustment process took years, patience, and a lot of learning along the way. Royal commentators quickly connected those remarks to Meghan's much shorter time inside the monarchy, especially since Meghan and Harry stepped away from royal duties after roughly 2 years as senior working royals. Many royal watchers interpreted Sophie's comments as a subtle comparison rather than a direct criticism. Sophie's message seemed to highlight how difficult royal life could be for anyone entering the institution from the outside world. Unlike dramatic headlines or public attacks, Sophie continued speaking in a calm and diplomatic tone whenever Meghan's name came up publicly. Even after all the controversy surrounding Harry and Meghan's departure, Sophie still made an effort to sound measured and respectful in interviews. At one point, Sophie publicly said, "I just hope they will be happy, and we all try to help any new member of the family." That statement became important because it directly pushed back against the narrative that Meghan had received absolutely no support from people inside the royal household. According to multiple reports over the years, support and guidance had allegedly been offered to Meghan from several directions, especially from Sophie herself. The Queen reportedly believed Sophie would be one of the best people to help Meghan navigate palace life because she had already gone through many of the same struggles personally. Sources claimed Sophie made repeated attempts to offer practical advice, emotional support, and guidance behind the scenes. From explaining royal expectations to offering private encouragement, she reportedly tried to help Meghan settle into the family more comfortably. But according to royal insiders and media reports, those efforts never fully developed into a close relationship because Meghan allegedly showed little interest in continuing the mentorship. Over time, many reports suggested Sophie became disappointed and eventually emotionally detached from the situation altogether. Even after being personally asked by Queen Elizabeth to help guide Meghan, Sophie reportedly found herself unable to build the supportive connection she originally hoped for. Critics of Meghan argued that help had been available, but wasn't fully embraced. While Meghan's supporters continued insisting, she struggled with deeper institutional problems inside the monarchy that mentorship alone could not fix. Eventually, as tensions inside the royal family kept escalating publicly, the relationship appeared to break down completely. The support system that had initially been offered quietly faded away, and Harry and Meghan's exit from royal duties became one of the biggest royal shakeups in modern history, sparking years of debate, media attention, and ongoing public division around what really happened behind palace walls. At one point, Meghan famously said that she didn't need people to love her, she simply wanted people to hear her. That quote spread everywhere online and became one of the most talked about statements connected to her time in the spotlight. But as the public debate around Harry and Meghan continued growing, reactions became more divided than ever. Supporters felt Meghan had finally been honest about her experiences and struggles inside the royal system, while critics argued that people had already listened carefully and simply disagreed with how events were being presented. The conversation around her became impossible to escape, with every interview, documentary, and public appearance creating another wave of headlines and arguments across social media. At the same time, many royal supporters began shifting their attention back towards Sophie and Prince Edward. After Harry and Meghan officially stepped away from royal duties, people noticed how the royal family's structure started changing behind the scenes. For some members of the public, the Sussexes' departure opened the door for quieter senior royals like Sophie and Edward to step into more visible and respected positions within the monarchy. That became even more significant when Edward and Sophie officially received the titles Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, a title deeply connected to royal history and previously associated with Prince Philip. Many royal followers viewed the moment as symbolic because Sophie and Edward had spent years carrying out royal duties with little drama and steady loyalty to the crown. Compared to the non-stop controversy surrounding Harry and Meghan, Sophie and Edward's calm public image made them even more appreciated by traditional royal supporters. To many observers, the contrast between the two couples could not have looked more different by that stage, and the public conversation around both relationships only grew louder as the years went on. And there you have it! Sophie never needed dramatic interviews, emotional public speeches, or non-stop media appearances to get her point across. She didn't have to raise her voice or publicly attack anyone because, over the years, her actions seemed to speak louder than words ever could. While the royal family faced wave after wave of controversy, Sophie stayed calm, controlled, and quietly carried on with her duties, without turning every disagreement into a public spectacle. That's part of why so many people became fascinated by her reaction to Meghan Markle over time. Sophie appeared to approach the situation with patience first, offering support, guidance, and understanding behind closed doors. But according to reports and royal insiders, once those efforts went nowhere, she simply stepped back and kept moving forward without creating more drama. And for many royal watchers, that quiet distance ended up saying far more than any explosive interview ever could. Sophie built her reputation by staying loyal, disciplined, and careful with her words, which is exactly why even her smallest comments sparked huge attention online. Whether it was the awkward Commonwealth Day body language, the subtle responses after the Oprah interview, or her reflections on adapting to royal life, people kept noticing what seemed to be quiet signals beneath the surface. Some viewers believe Sophie was subtly making her feelings known the entire time, while others think the media exaggerated normal royal behavior into something much bigger. At the end of the day, only the people inside those palace walls truly know what happened between Sophie and Meghan behind closed doors. But one thing is clear, the relationship many hoped would become a strong royal friendship never fully came together, and the tension surrounding it became impossible for the public to ignore. So what do you think? Was Sophie quietly sending a message the whole time, or are people reading too deeply into royal moments caught on camera? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below because this debate is definitely not ending anytime soon. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next royal story, controversy, or behind-the-scenes breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.